Okay, yay. Tonight we're doing a leadership call with some of the top coaches who have been, um, what is it called, at the top of the group and the banner that have had great PV, great customer sales, great Success Club points. And tonight they're going to share some of their tips and strategies and actions that will hopefully inspire you in your own business. So I'm going to let Erika Levarse, who is a diamond coach, and she's also an PIO instructor, and she does all kinds of cool things. She's been in Success Club for so many months. Success Club's been such a journey for you. So now you're doing awesome. So I'll let you start us off and take it away.
Okay. I guess I'll kind of jump off of what you were saying about how Success Club has been such a journey for me, because it's so true. I was the most inconsistent person ever with a Success Club. And then now with the new year, I've hit this Success Club every single month from January to now. I would say two things have been my big thing that has happened to me over the past few months. And the first was the realization that of how I talk to people. Being in this invite club that I've had going on, I get a lot of people who are like, okay, here is what the person said to me. What do I say back? Like, what do you say to somebody when this happens? And everybody wants like this cookie cutter, like, what do I say here? Like, let me just plug and play what I say. And I always feel bad because I don't have answers for it. They were like, oh, I thought this was like invite club. I'm going to learn how to invite. I'm like, but it's such an organic thing and it comes from within. And something that I think that I do well and that people always come to me for help for is that I'm always just very honest with my customers. I'm not saying that everybody else is lying to their customers, but I really shoot straight with my people. I don't beat around the bush about things. I don't, say, oh my God, like, what do I say here? I just tell them how it is. This is what a challenge group is. This is what a challenge pack is. This is why you should get a challenge pack over just getting the program. And I'm just very forward. And if they're like, no, that's not what I want to do right now, I'm like, all right, let's work together to make it work for you so that I can help you better. And I don't worry so much about like, oh no, they're not getting the challenge pack, or oh no, like, should I offer them a free gift so they buy something? Like, I think whenever you just let that go out of your head, all of a sudden things start falling into place. And I think that's why a lot of my customers like coming to me, because they know I'm going to be honest. Whereas, and I get it all the time, they say, oh, I know so many Beachbody coaches, but I came to you because I knew that you would be the best person to come to, that you were going to be honest with me and not push a sale on me. And I'm like, exactly. That's not what I'm here to do. What do you want to buy? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be in a challenge group? Do you want me to text you? Like, let me work with you here. So I think that helps a lot. My second thing was that about 2 months ago, I posted in the Diamond group about somebody posted in the Diamond group about wanting a success partner. And I replied back, and then all of a sudden it started this big conversation. And so there's a group of six or seven of us now who are in a group chat, and we're all very similar, like-minded people with very similar goals. We all have very different personalities. We're all different gems, but we work really well together. And whenever we're strategizing about something, like just this past week, we had a big what is coaching group for 5 days, and we each took a day and did videos. And it's just nice being in a group where I can talk freely to people and we can strategize. And I know that it's a safe place, but I know that we're going to get work done. And they're all people from different teams. We're all under the Bombshell umbrella, but they're all from different teams. So if I have to recommend anything, get a little group chat going with people who are not just all under Katie, but from different groups, because you get so many different perspectives. We talk about so much stuff, and I get such like aha moments every single day that it's helped me so much. It's unbelievable. Like, these past 2 months my business went from being like practically like aiming towards the gutter to now I'm starting to visualize, like I can visualize now where it's going. Whereas before I was really stagnant and I couldn't do that visualization. Now I can do it. So I would say just let go whenever you're talking to customers. You know, you're not going to offend anybody. The worst thing they're going to say is no, or they're going to block you, whatever. I get blocked all the time. And then the second thing is align yourself with people who have similar goals and get in a group chat and go after it. Just start strategizing, do crazy fun things. We're all doing a big GSR call together with all of our new signups. So it's cool. Like, get together with people. It's awesome.
Yay. I love that cross-line, brainstorming.
Yeah, it's been fun because you think that it's all the same information, but different teams do things different ways. And so there might be something that we do one way all the time because that's just how it is, or that's how you post it. And they do it a different way. And I'm like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of just doing it this way? Like, oh, okay. And it's cool that you get all these different trainings from all these things. Like a girl who is under Brigida Limford is in our group. And so we get all of her stuff, and she's awesome with all of her information. We have a girl who's under Nikki Minton, and we get all of her stuff. So it's all coming together. So it's fun.
Yay. Okay, cool. Well, who do you want to call on?
How about Liz, my favorite little still pregnant girl?
Who is still pregnant somehow.
I know. Well, I've got time. Not that I want time, though. I'm ready. Okay, so for me, I guess pregnancy has kind of been an interesting part to it. I wasn't really planning on talking about that, but for me, it's been a bit of an advantage, but it's also been a bit of a disadvantage because I can't continue to show like my progress and like what the programs are doing for me and stuff. But at the same time, I've kind of used it to, I guess, expand my network more. I've met a lot of people who are expecting, and they have kind of like created a big group of people. And doing that has kind of kept me motivated. So I guess I don't know really where I'm going with this, but I guess by keeping myself motivated through the whole pregnancy, it's made sticking with everything a lot easier, and being able to find ways to share about Beachbody and what I'm doing without having like real results to show has been really important. So I guess for me, the biggest thing that's helped me be successful over the last like 10 months is just surrounding myself with people who are surrounding myself with like other coaches who are going to motivate me. So like surrounding myself with like-minded people, and sorry, I'm not good at talking on the spot. Surrounding myself with like-minded people really helps keep me motivated. So like Erika was saying, being in groups, like we did the April Bank group. For me, that was really helpful. And during that time, I hit Diamond. And just being around it and seeing it every day really keeps me going. And I know that if I'm not seeing it, then I'm less likely to keep going. And I know that we hit a lot of there's a lot of ups and downs, especially when you're, really trying to create a business. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going your way. So I think by surrounding myself with people, that really helped. And then another thing that really made a difference for me, I mean, whenever I do it, it always makes a huge difference, is using the power of threes. By inviting 3 people every day, friending 3 new people, forming 3 new people, or forming 3 old conversations, and expanding not expanding my network, inviting to coaching 3 times a week. That every time I really stick to that and follow the sheet, it makes a huge difference for me, which I am not totally consistent with it, but when I am, it makes a huge difference. Other things, like Erika was saying, is having a success partner keeps you really motivated too.
Liz, the one thing I noticed about you that's definitely your strength is your consistency. So like every day I can literally set a clock to, she's going to post about a workout. She's going to post about healthy food. You're going to post maybe a cute picture of Rosie. What do you attribute your consistency to?
I don't know. I think a lot of it goes back to like when I first became a coach. Some of the basic things that I remember from are like you did the 21-day smart start. Some of the things that really stood out to me is like having your 5 topics that you kind of post about and trying to post at least 3 to 5 times a day to really create a following and like have something for people to relate to you on consistently and not just like once in a while. So that's always been really huge for me. Some days are better than others, but for the most part, I try to stick to my 5 topics and really share about those every day and make sure that I'm giving something for all the different people who I'm like talking to and stuff to relate to, because otherwise if I'm just posting the same generic thing that everyone else is, then why are they going to want to be working with me or interested in what I'm doing?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like if I were to message you, I have something to grab onto. Like, you guys were redoing the floors and decorating. You know, there's different things going on in your life where somebody has something to talk to you about instead of workout picture, healthy food picture. Like, I really like that you infuse and you ask questions, which is great, like engaging people.
Yeah, that's another thing from the training that I remember is, which was a long time ago now, but I remember was, you know, doing things to people to be interactive on your wall and not just talking about like what you like, but giving them a chance to like express themselves. I don't know. Sorry, my dogs are going nuts behind me.
That's okay.
Yeah, let's see, what else? I don't know, I guess my biggest thing has just really been the power of 3s, and when you do it, it works. If you're not doing it, I mean, maybe you're doing something else that works for you, but for me, if I'm not doing it, I'm not growing my business nearly as much.
Awesome. I think those are great tips. If you want to pass the baton, you're welcome to do so now.
Okay. What about Amanda?
Me.
Wanna go?
Okay. So when I think about the things that have changed in my business, I think about when I started to hit Success Club, and the first month that I truly hit Success Club was April 2014. And I've actually, with the exception of 1 month, November 14 killed me. But other than that, I've been in Success Club for 14 months. And that sounds really great, and I can't even believe it. But when I think about the shift, I think about the first couple of months that I hit Success Club, April, May, and June of last year. And those were people that were from my warm market that I had maybe invited, but kind of maybe never followed up. But after June happened, I really had to get my act together and do something that I didn't really know how to do and was scared to do, and that was tap into my cold market. So if I can recommend anything, it's to start to add people to your cold market tonight. I mean, the minute that you see this call, because the best people, some of my best challengers and coaches are people that I've met from friends of friends, from groups on Facebook that I have common interests with. And I should mention too, these groups don't have to be really fancy. I mean, I'm going to be honest, the groups I'm a part of are Kate Spade. Okay. So like, they do not have to be anything incredibly high level. I mean, they can just be fun, but that's really the first thing that I did majorly to change my business. The second thing that I did was true blue action. I took action on finally inviting, because let's be honest, we say we invite every day, but how many do we really get to every day? I mean, let's be honest. So I did that. And then I started to also listen to personal development and take that bull by the horns at the same time. Because again, we say we read 10 pages a day, but maybe it doesn't work. Find a format that works well for you. I love audiobooks, okay? Audiobooks are my claim to fame. I blow through them so fast, and I love them because I'm in my car for hours a day. It just happens. One of my coaches absolutely adores podcasts. She has gone through the Shalene Show. She finds entrepreneurial podcasts, and they're totally free. So personal development does not have to cost you an arm and a leg, but it has to be consistent because it's feeding the inner leader in you so that you can bust through the walls that are holding you back now. And then lastly, the last thing that I did was take action in showing my challengers that I cared. I hate to admit this, but there was a call from, I think it was Christina Delgado a couple weeks ago about making mistakes. And she said that I used to treat every person like just a challenge pack sale. And I would I wouldn't check in with them. So I started to do little things that I know mean a lot to me when they happen to me. So some examples are, I send a thank you note to anyone who buys a challenge pack from me. And if it's someone who, maybe I have someone who has a flaxseed allergy and can't drink Shakeology, I send her a challenge pack thank you note anyway. And I just say, thank you for your investment in your health with the 21-day fix alone. Because I know that a handwritten thank you note meant a lot to me. Katie sent me one or two in the past, and that like made my day. I was like, oh my gosh, she knows who I am. So like thank you notes are nice. It's just such a nice thing to get in the mail. We don't get that anymore. I also try and set up a phone call, whether that's the beginning of a challenge or before they even buy, if they have hesitation, so that I make them feel very comfortable. And I also try and have a Zoom call with a lot of my challenge groups, especially if I notice that the dynamics are so good in our group. I try and amp that up by having like a we're halfway there mastermind kind of call. You just watch the dynamic of the group. And so lastly, and then the last thing I do is I send a small Facebook message of encouragement to my challengers. I'll be honest, I try and do this at a certain time each challenge group, but I don't. I just kind of watch what's going on. And if I see that someone's having a bad day, I message them and say, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you. Just that phrase alone, I've told my challengers that in person, and it has moved them to tears. You have no idea how many people don't get to hear that someone's proud of them. We don't hear that enough. So those are the types of things that have helped me build relationships with people that are way past like a 30-day group or a 21-day group, and that have built trust in what I do, and that have just built a lot of positivity and impact in what I do. So that's it. That's what I do.
I love those tips. Oh my goodness. One question I feel is going to come up. How do you keep track? Like, what system do you use for following?
I'm so glad you asked, because Liz actually mentioned it, and I am a huge fan of the Power of Threes tracker. I hate the BAT. I'm sorry. I just do. Okay. It just is too hard for me. I don't know why. I just can't do it. But when I started to do the Power of Threes, that's when things started to change. Because again, you may not get every day done. You may not get every bubble filled in, but you start to see the trends of what you do lack, and then you work on that for next week, and then you start to get more and more in. So Power of Threes, I'll be preaching that gospel forever. So. It's my turn. I have to pass the baton. So I am actually going to pass it on to Robin. So take it away, Robin.
Wow, that was awesome. That was a lot of good information, Amanda. Well, I honestly, the Power of Threes is one of my big things that I try to do. I think it is, when I was in the last push group that we had, the April Rank in the Bank, that really guided me, because I was a new coach in March, and jumping into that in April was a huge foundation builder for me as to what I needed to do. And then honestly, I after Rank in the Bank was over, I kind of took a little break, and then I realized again how important it is to, at the beginning of every month, to truly follow that Power of Threes to just get it done. So I really like to use that, and I like to use that to connect with people, to remind me that it's so important to do that number one step and connect with people that maybe you haven't connected with before, or for a while. And I use Facebook with that, and I try to just kind of the phrase where people say that, sometimes you're a creeper on Facebook. Well, I used to just be a creeper, but now I'm a creeper that actually interacts with people, which I love, because you build trust and you build more relationships. And I think that's awesome. So I strongly recommend that you just, initially connect with people, not just, message them and say, hey, I have a challenge group. You want to join? How that just kind of scares people sometimes. I think it's connection first, and just like the Power of Threes, and then invite, and then follow up. So that is a big one for me. And then the second one is, of course, personal development. And Amanda, you touched on this. It works for me too to do audio, because it's so hard for me to read. By the time I get an opportunity to read at the end of the night, I am actually in bed. And so when I read for 2 minutes, it makes me want to go to sleep. So since I'm in the car and I'm running errands, with the kids, I'll put it, I just put it in, and I try to listen when they're, but it's better when they're not. But audiobooks are great. And I also like to go back through, and I like to, look at the top coaches in Beachbody, and I like to Google their videos, go on YouTube, just to get a variety of what everybody's kind of doing. And it just helps me with tips and knowledge, because I feel like the more knowledge that I have, the more confidence that I have, and the easier it is for me to be able to approach people and connect with them, and let them know what I'm doing and how important it is. It gives me more, food for thought for them. So I would say those are probably the two things that have really helped me in the past 4 months.
I love that you guys are touching on personal development. And I love analogies. So the way that I think about personal development is when you start as a coach, you've got a toolbox, and based on our past experience, we've got a couple tools, whether it's, how to talk to people, or, you're just a great listener, or you've got empathy, or, whatever that is. And as we do personal development, you're adding tools to that box, so you're able to overcome, anything that comes your way, whether it's dealing with a challenging objection, or managing your coaches, or how to motivate different personality types. So I really love that you guys are talking about that. It's such an important and often overlooked vital behavior, because like you were saying, by the time you get, the chance to do it, especially with children and a job, you're ready to pass out. So just one other thing with personal development, I listen to it in the car, even if I'm going, let's just say, to get my hair cut. That's a 15-minute drive at least. So instead of listening to music, that's 15 minutes of, right now I'm listening to the Aladdin Factor again. I just love that audio. It's so good. And one thing I took away from Darren Hardy was somebody in his audience at one of his seminars said, you inspired me to read. I'm going to read 12 different books. And Darren said, I would rather you read one book 12 times, because then you can master it. So that's something in the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to read, X amount of books. And after hearing that, I rethought my strategy, and now I'm listening to the same books. So that it's so interesting too. When you watch a movie again, you pick up on things you completely missed. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm re-listening, I'm like, where was that part the first time I listened? I completely must have zoned out when I was listening. So I love that you bring that up. So anyway, to keep on track with time, we have about 10 more minutes-ish. I'll let you go ahead and choose who you'd like to go next.
Okay. Go ahead, Cayla.
Hi. Okay, so I've been sitting here trying to think of what my top 3 things are, because there's just so many things that that I do consistently, but I think the number one thing that I started, what really clicked with me, was just putting aside my worries about what other people were going to think about me. I think the biggest thing that has pushed my business forward is being consistently passionate with my postings. And that is the biggest thing that I, try to tell my coaches is, don't be posting once a week or twice a week about Beachbody. Post consistently. And I know it might seem a lot to you. You might think that people are getting annoyed or whatever, but I think the consistency, so much of this business for me has been about building trust with my customers, and the consistency helps them trust me as a coach, and that I'm not just trying to sell a product, that, hey, this girl is really passionate about and really living it. So, what I do, I've gotten so many, if your profile's not public, then you're doing yourself a great disservice. I've gotten so many people who message me who I'm not even friends with, and it just blows my mind, them telling me that they've been following my posts. And so that just, even though I might not get as many likes or comments as I want on a post, that doesn't mean that people aren't seeing it and people aren't watching. The other thing is I just really try to be bold and confident when I'm talking to people, even if I might not feel it. I feel it more now, but when I first started off, I definitely did not feel bold and confident. But now, like, I just send out an invitation because of how much this has changed my life. So why wouldn't I want to share it? So I have to admit that I don't do the power of threes. And it's not that I'm not an advocate for it. I think it's amazing, but for me personally, at the place I'm at right now, I don't know if it's that I haven't reached my cold market yet, or I'm still in my warm market, or whatever it is, but I personally like to, on the first of every month, I like to brain dump, and I send out so many messages, and in those messages I really try to connect with people on a personal level and make them feel so special. So that's one thing I really try to do, is always make somebody feel special that I'm messaging. I'm not just trying to sell them a product. I want this for them because of how much it's changed my life. So my goal is to be at SC10 every month by the first week of the month. So the way that my brain works is that I just send out as many people as I can think of. And right now I'm still working with my list, my original 150 people that I had when I signed up 4 months ago. So I went through and I looked at all the people I messaged. I counted all of them. I had messaged over 150 people, including Messenger and text message, in the first 30 days. So those people who haven't signed up, who haven't committed, I'm still being consistent with them, whether it's just checking in on how they're doing, checking in on if it's the right time for them now. So I'm still going back to those people if they haven't told me no, or if they haven't already committed. I'm preparing myself for that list to dry up soon. So something I did recently was I just printed out my entire Facebook friend list right here. And that's what I plan on starting to work on in July. I'll probably take the first, 150 people that aren't already coaches and aren't already a customer, or that I'm not already in contact with, and go ahead and start just stalking them on Facebook and finding a way to connect with them. And but honestly, I've had really great responses just from sending a cold message to somebody and saying, hey, how would you feel about hearing about this program that has changed my life? I have a new fitness group a new group starting in a couple of weeks. Do you have any desire to hear about some of the fitness programs? I've honestly had really great responses from that. And people still, about consistency, going back to consistency, people who I've messaged on day one of becoming a coach. I mean, I had a girl sign up 2 days ago who I've been talking to for 4 months. And so that's my biggest thing, is don't give up on people. Follow up consistently until they tell you absolutely no. And just always try to, I love, the term ooze your passion. I want people to see it oozing from my pores. So that's I don't feel inspired every day, but I try to make up something. And, just be, even if it's a crappy post, it's still getting you seen that you're being consistent. You don't have to be inspired every day to post it. It's just the consistency of posting every day. So that's all I have. I'll pass it to Heather.
Okay, so I'm nervous to talk to you guys. I don't feel like I belong here, but for me, what changed was a few weeks ago, I watched Scotty Hobbs' video on sacrifice, and I don't know why, but it hit me deep. I don't know what it was. He was just talking about waking up early and doing stuff on his lunch breaks, and what he has to do. And I already wake up at 4 a.m. doing my workouts and posting videos. I'm working over my lunch break. I'm coming home, I'm doing work. But when I watched his video and him describing what he did, it changed everything. And so I've been really thinking about that a lot when I'm tired or I have to go do something for someone. I'm okay, I can handle this. No big deal. It's going to be worth it in the end. So I'm up every day at 4. I'm doing Body Beast right now, so I'm doing those workouts. I'm making the video real quick. I'm posting it. I'm at the end of the challenge group, but I'm posting that stuff in the morning. I go to work all day. I get a half-hour lunch break, and I'm back on the phone. I'm answering messages people are sending me. I'm posting in the challenge group. I think a really big part of my success this month was at the end of May, I finished my second round of the Extreme. And so total since like last October, I lost 40 pounds. And I finally posted those photos, and then my phone was just flooded from there. And I was just honest, like, here I am in my sports bra. Here I am in my sports bra 4 months later. Look at what I did. And this works. And I'm real. I remember what Erika was saying about being honest. I'm honest. If somebody asks me, do I really need Shakeology? It's really expensive. I tell them, I really like it. It's helped me. But if you follow the program, it's going to work. Like, I know that we should be pushing for challenge pack sales and stuff, but I just want to make that connection with somebody and show them that if you try this, I promise it will work, and I'll be there to help you. And if you're interested later, then we'll work on that. But I just want to get them there and committed to helping themselves, get them in my groups, and then everything's just been flowing. I have 35 people in my current challenge group, which is insane. And I probably have good participation from about 20 of them, which I think is really good. And it's all over tomorrow, and everyone's really excited for the next one starting at the 4th of July. I already have 15 people for the next one. And I just try to be real about it and let them know that this worked for me, and I know that it can work for you. And what somebody said earlier about caring about them, at the beginning of the challenge group, I sent everybody a card, a little bit of motivation in it, letting them know that I'm here for them no matter what, like my phone number, my email, just letting them know that they're not in this alone. And I've actually had people who have other coaches comment on my posts and then private message me that I motivate them and that I'm their inspiration, which is insane because I'm just a small town girl and should be no one's inspiration. And they've asked to join my groups because they're more motivated by me than they are by their other coaches. And I'm like, it's fine by me, like whatever I can do to help. And I just get like random messages from people, I've lost this and it's because of you. And I try to like reciprocate that it's because of them and what they're doing. I'm just here to support them. So I'm not really doing anything crazy. I try to do the power of 3, but I do forget from time to time, but I try to write it all down. I have like this bag. I carry this bag around with me all the time. I have like 3 binders and all this stuff. So I'm doing the best I can right now. But I just want to say, like, just be consistent and be the product. It does work and it's worth it. And then people will respond to that.
I think the themes that I keep hearing come up, honesty, being genuine, caring, empathy, having passion. So even if you don't know it all, even if you feel like you're an imposter at first, which, Cayla, I remember kind of putting you on the spot, like, well, how'd you get to Diamond? And you're like, I don't even know like exactly what I'm doing. But, even if you're lacking knowledge, passion will get you so far. And then, of course, personal development and inviting. So I feel like you guys have touched on the 3 vital behaviors, not to hammer that in, but just like Heather said, it really is the basics. It really is simple, consistent behaviors that add up to success. Even if you are, like, I used to have to fit my business in between the cracks of working and going to school, and 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. It's not these grand gestures where you're spending $5,000 on a website or getting business cards printed up. It really is just sharing and, letting people in, pulling the curtain back and kind of showing them what they're doing. Or what you're doing. Couple of things. First of all, before I forget, can I take a picture? Can everyone smile? Let me okay. I'll just do it on 3. So just smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sweet. Okay, couple things before we get off. This can be open questions, but just some things I was thinking about. How do you guys deal with disappointment? So, being leaders of this team, you guys have had people reject you or say no, or that's a pyramid scheme, or I can't believe that you're doing network marketing or some silly thing. How do you guys deal with rejection or disappointments in your business?
I like to redirect my energy into, say somebody's just rejected me. I like to take that feeling and redirect it into somebody else who, just by connecting with them again. So it kind of, gives me hope of like, okay, well, let's move on to the next person. So that and personal development.
I'm kind of with Cayla, and it's probably more my personality. It's just that I like to prove people wrong. Like if somebody doesn't like something, I'll just go and do something to prove them wrong. Like, not directly, but for me, I'm proving them and just challenging myself and being sort of competitive. I don't know if that's necessarily the healthiest way to deal with it, but it moves me on, so it works.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with I kind of, I was at Diamond. I was really excited, and then I lost my coach that made me Diamond. I lost her right even into the challenge group that she was doing, and it made me sad because for one, I lost Diamond rank, and which everyone said it happens, but it still made me really sad, and it just kind of I don't know, like you just kind of have a moment, but then you kind of regroup. And for me, I just go back and I try to listen to something positive. I go to personal development, or I try to start watching some videos because it just amps you back up and helps you believe. And I visualize and I say, it's not if, it's when. It's not if, it's when. And that is constant, so I just try to do that.
That's awesome. Okay. Other question that I was thinking about, you guys are talking about doing the power of threes, and something I've heard coaches mention is you're starting new conversations every single day. So how do you not get overwhelmed when you're talking to, 15 people, let's say, after the course of a week, you've got all these conversations going. How do you not get overwhelmed? Or are you guys just awesome at juggling?
Yeah, I mean, what I started to do is I remember Summer Tucker had a national wake-up call when she talked about how each one of her challengers and the people she's worked with, she had in a binder, which I thought was great, but I'm just not a pen and paper person in that way. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do, and this might be just a step up past the initial conversation, but I like to make a Word document for every person that I talk to, and I have just a little file on my Dropbox, and then I just rank it by last name. And so I can just quickly say, okay, on June 27th, she mentioned she's going to be in a wedding, so that I have just a brief, quick thing that I can pull up wherever I am. But then whenever I'm making conversations, and you're exactly right, when you start to increase the amount of people that you talk with on a daily basis, you come back to your inbox, and it can be like 30 people out of nowhere that like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, which is great. So the only advice I can give is don't let it rule your life. I've heard it from top coaches say that you have to make sure that you only check your messages in the morning and the evening. I think Neil Getz said that once. It may mean you need to turn off the notification on Facebook Messenger on your phone. But if that's what's going to keep you sane, then that's going to keep you sane. And then I just, like I said, I do my best to keep it down to a small amount of time in the morning and the evening.
I think, you bring up such a great point, especially as you grow as a leader and now you have coaches that you're dealing with and your customer follow-ups. Both are very important, but not letting your day be ruled by your inbox because you'll be a crazy person. So we're not doctors. We're not on call 24/7. So it is okay to let a message go for, 24 hours before you respond to it. And that was really hard because as a newer coach, you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't respond right now, then they're not going to buy from me. They're going to do this. Well, even if they went on the website, you could always rectify it and get credit for the order. But I find that just having a set time to sit down and do messages is so much better than frantically trying like on my phone when I'm at a stoplight or, like trying to respond immediately. So I think that's really great advice. Okay, and then my last thing that I just kind of want everyone to go around and share is what is your favorite personal development book that you've read so far, or your top book that you could recommend that's helped you as a coach?
I'd say mine was probably The Compound Effect. That was one of the first ones I read and one that I've gone back and read again. I definitely recommend it.
I'll say just last month I read The Go-Giver, and it's like exploded in my brain. And as somebody who has an English degree, like that book, I write notes constantly about it, and every conversation I have, I'm like, oh, it's like that part in the book. So read The Go-Giver. It took me, I want to say, like maybe 45 minutes to get through the whole book, but it's really good. It's awesome.
I just started reading personal development, and I read The Compound Effect first, and I liked it, but I thought it was really repetitive. So now I'm in the middle of Girlboss, and I love it, and I'm like constantly highlighting. And I have 2 other books. I got the Frog book, Eat That Frog, and I have a Tony Robbins book, which I tried to start, but it's a little above my head, so I'm waiting to get back into that one. But I really like Girlboss.
That's a fun read.
Not to interject, but Tony Robbins is somebody you have to listen to and not read.
Yes.
If I can recommend anything, because I have all of his books, and I never got past page 1.
His voice though is like intoxicating to me.
His voice, like he just like, I fall into like this trance like tunnel, and I'm like, tell me everything and just talk to me. And he's awesome to listen to, but I cannot read him.
Yeah, I felt really dumb. I'm only like 2 chapters into his finance book, and I'm like, I got to stop and do something else.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like the financial freedom book that was
the
Ellen
that
show.
book is really intense. Even the audio is intense. I've had to go back and
I'm not ready.
To listen to it a few times.
I'm not ready, so.
Yeah. Robin, what's your top book?
Well, I read The Compound Effect also first for your recommendation, and that really kind of got me started, and it really made me see my stars and and hold on to them. So I really like that. But right now, I'm listening to an audio how to win friends and influence people by Dale Carnegie in the digital age. So, and I really like that. And I'm also reading Oh, you are a badass. I still haven't finished that because I have that as a book. It's just so hard for me to read the books.
That's a fun audio because the author actually reads it.
Is it good audio?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll get it. Honestly, it is so hard for me to read books.
Yeah, audio all the way.
So to interject for me next, I'm looking at my phone and looking at all my books. I'd say 101 is, first book you should read is The Compound Effect. And then the next would be The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. That was a major game changer.
That's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess Personal Development 202. And this is not an outright personal development book, but this is as if you need a lot of soul searching and confidence in what you do. I have listened to What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey twice now. Oh my God. And that is one of the best books I have ever listened to. Again, Oprah reads it herself. And it just, it's not about any business things, but it's just about her and her journey. And it is one of the most inspirational, truly soul cleansing books I've ever read. It's so easy to listen to. What I Know for Sure by Oprah.
And just like the book, I really liked having the book on my nightstand because if you're going to fall asleep after 2 pages, the chapters are 2 pages. So it's like read one story and then go to bed. So I loved that. Cayla,
what is the name of that book? What is the name of that book?
What I Know for Sure. And it's like this really cute little green book. Oh, I have it right here.
And it's by Oprah? Okay.
This is what it looks like.
Oh, that is cute.
I love it. And it has like one of those like little book ribbons.
Oh, I love that.
I have this like earmarked on so many different, almost like every page. Because I'm like, dang. And by the way, her voice is so awesome. Like every time I buy an audiobook, I end up buying the hard copy too. Because I'm like, I just want to live inside the book and hear it at the same time. right, Cayla,
So
your
the
recommendation.
reading is really hard for me too. I've only done 2 books. So I started with The Compound Effect, and it took me 3 months to get that because I would read it when I got in bed at night and I'd fall asleep. And so the second book, I was like, I have to get it on audio so I can listen to it in the car. And I've been listening to You Are a Badass, and it's been going so much better than I'm already almost halfway through it in a week. So
Nice.
that's good for me, but I really love, those are the only 2 I can recommend because those are the only 2 I've read, but I love them. And it's great.
All right, so I'll round it out. I was just thinking, as a newer coach, obviously like the compound effect, the slight edge, like all of those help, but the success principles for me was like game changer, even though it's so long. So I put it on my shelf for probably 6 months before I was like, all right. But then Personality Plus, which is a book that describes and really dives deep into like different personalities, and you guys you may have heard of us talking about the different personality gems like Pearl, Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire. She describes them by different names, which some of them are kind of hard to pronounce, but the concepts are basically the same, and that has helped me more than anything relate to my team, even like my family. Like I was like, oh my gosh, she's describing my dad or she's describing my mom, and now I know why they fight over silly things, because they just don't think about things in the same way. So that book, Personality Plus, was like such a huge help to me. But anyway, thank you ladies so much for getting on. I really appreciate you taking the time. We're kind of cutting into like listening to the bombshell call, so we'll have to catch the recording. But thank you. Any last things that you thought of that you want to share? Close it out. All right.
One thing is that's important to do, especially as you're like a new coach and stuff, is going outside your comfort zone. I'm surprised I didn't say that, but yeah, that's huge too, because I'm sure none of us are comfortable doing a lot of the things that we do now, or we weren't comfortable when we first did them. So that's huge. It's just stepping outside your comfort zone.
And what's weird is the things that were scary at first then just become second nature, like invites, which is like this terrifying as a new coach. And then after a while, you're like, wait, I love this. Why wouldn't I share it? Like Cayla said.
Yeah. And one last closing thought, 5 seconds. I started to think of inviting people to challenge groups and to purchasing challenge packs as inviting them into a really great party. Because when you think about it this way, you don't think about, oh my gosh, I'm going to ask them to spend all this money. You realize that what you're doing is going to be great and positive in their life. So I try and think of it as that way. It's like, oh my gosh, you totally got to join us in this group. And then it really has changed my mindset and their mindset too.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.